You think that this video is like a speed build video, but no, it's actually a call for help. I'm traumatized because this build made me question all of my life choices. Because today we are building a habitat for the sand cats. But the sand cat habitat is not what made me question all of my life. No, the sand cat shack is what made me miserable. Please send help. Let's get started. Alright, to sum up this build. I mean, I already did it in the intro, but it's misery, torment, and I don't think I've ever actually wanted to start crying for a build, but this one brought me very close. Because it's a round building, like the Sandcat Shack, which is what we're starting with, which is basically supposed to be like this sort of takeout restaurant. Like you always have those in like zoos or theme parks where it's just like, yeah, you get your food at like the counter and you eat it somewhere on like the terrace or such. It's not really a restaurant, but it's also not completely like fast food. Or at least it feels like a little bit in between. But yeah, the shape is just like a normal round shape. And then of course, because I wanted to be extra, because you only live life once, why not be fabulous and extra? Yeah, I decided to go for like, oh yeah, let's drag the actual sandcat habitat inside and do a yin and yang kind of idea, which like, yeah, Poison, you really need some yin yang, you really need some peace and quiet and just help. Like really, this video is just like a giant SOS signal. Like, I don't think I can make it any clearer than like, I'm going insane. A good way, like I won't start like slashing up your neighbor, even though they probably deserve it, because probably the neighbor that starts like doing whatever work at like 9 a.m. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that like a lot of people are like, you know, up and awake at 9 a.m. and to those people I say, fuck you. I am a night owl. I don't want... Well, I'm usually up by 9 a.m. if I have to, but I'm not happy about it because my brain for some reason just doesn't wake up until 10. Also, back to the actual build, because yeah, the interior of the build, you know, the basic shape of it is pretty normal until you get to the roof. Because the idea for the roof was basically just like, you know, sort of a hut with like finally some thatch, because I want to use the thatch, but I didn't know like where to use it and such. And this build was just like, yes. But it's basically a, well, not shack, but it's a building with a thatched roof, but it's basically like Godzilla took a bite out of it. Which for some reason also made me think of like, alright, if he took a bite out of it, here, where's the shit? Because like, I don't think that thatch is really digestible. Also, I have no idea why I start thinking about that. Yeah, like if somebody ever like tries to study the Poisonblade squirrel brain, it's just like, good luck. I don't think you will survive, because I start thinking about Godzilla shitting halfway through a video. Well, not even halfway. But yeah. Anyways, onto a side note. I actually wanted to make this one into like a stop motion, like just like the building slowly starts appearing, because with the new camera mode and the way that I'm building, I can kind of do that. But there was so much in this build that I was like, yeah, I need to explain this. I don't know how. So speed build it is for this build. Maybe in the next build it will be more like stop motion-esque, because I want to kind of mix it up. But anyways, so yeah, the entire idea for this roof was just like, it's like the roof of a... I had the word for it like a second ago, and now I've lost it. But not tent, but I don't want to call it a hovel. I don't know. But yeah, basically it's like, it's this round peaked roof. I don't know if that's even the right word. But then it's like a bite is taken out of it, because I want this roof, first of all, to be accessible, because this is going to be like a viewing point for not just the sand cats, but also the animal next to it, which I'm not sure. I might want to do the rhinos, but I might also want to do the giraffes. Because, like, let's face it, the sand cats aren't really the big name animal that this building is going to be for. Even though it's called the Sand Cat Shack, because let's just face it, that name was chosen because it sounds nice. Sand Cat Shack. Like, it sounds great. I also wanted to call this building like a shack, but I think that's like not the best way to describe a building like this. But yeah, it's probably like this building is built for another animal, or at least like primarily to see another animal. But because the sand cats are like directly connected to it, it's called the Sand Cat Shack. And yeah, I've cut out like the many attempts of me trying to make this build work. And you can see that right now. It's just like, alright, does this way work? No. Does this way work? No. Does this way work? No. Like, I actually tried to do math for this build, which already shows you, like, Poison is going the deep end because I don't like maths. So if I start doing math for a build, then you better run, because that means that pigs start flying and that fucking Godzilla is coming around the corner. Yeah, I somehow managed to drag this conversation back to Godzilla. My brain works in very mysterious ways, and I think at one point I will cause the end of times with it. Like, I want to say, like, because in horror movies there's always the idiot that starts reading whatever evil incantation. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong with that. Although, to be fair, I wouldn't die in a horror movie because I'm just like, oh yeah, haunted shack in the middle of the woods. Yeah, I know. I'm not going there. Like, although I would like to go camping, but that's like, yeah, you still get murdered. I might be the one to, like, I would be the one to die first then. Like, if I ever show up in a horror movie, I would die first because I would do some dumb shit. Does that mean that I'm dumb or just that I have like an airhead? Yeah. Anyways, back to the actual build. Because, yeah, you will see how I made the roof in the end. Or not how, but you will see it being made. But it's basically just like point and then just a gap in it. But then I wanted the gap to look nice. And yeah, you kind of have to just like wiggle around a lot of shapes because you usually can't get like the right shape, and it's usually like it's not one of the like shapes that we have in Planet Zoo that you would need. So it's just like, yeah, if you look at it without looking too much into the details, it looks fine. And for a person like me who does kind of want to look at the details, it's kind of a terror. But anyways, in the end, it all looked fine and great. And I'm actually really proud of the building because it's just like so far out of my comfort zone. Anyways, going into the kitchen because I don't trust theme park and zoo food. Here's the thing, I want it to be seen, like see it being made. Because otherwise I'm convincing myself that it's made in the microwave and I don't want that. So I made a kitchen, or at least somewhat of a kitchen. Like it has a grill, it has a frying area, it has like actually an area for like the fries or chips or whatever you want to call them. But I'm just going to call them fries because that's what normal people call them. But yeah, I made an area for them to be like salted. If you want the like special kind, they can be like seasoned with stuff. Like there's always that like one area where you can do that. And because this build has not only a shop for fries, but also coffee, because I don't know why, I just like the mental image of a cat high on caffeine. Like cats are already ridiculous enough as it is. You put them on caffeine and they will just start bouncing. They will legit just turn into kangaroos. Or jelly. Anyways, because of that, I also made an espresso machine, but I decided to cut that from this video because I also started making an elevator. Because, as I said, the roof of the sandcat shack is supposed to be a viewing area, so I needed a way to get people up there. But because I made it a challenge to myself that every place in Naturalis should be like wheelchair accessible and just accessible for people with mobility issues, I needed to make an elevator. Bitch, I like to torture myself because, well, the elevator itself was perfectly fine. It's just the parting in Planet Zoo that made this horrible. Because the original idea was to have the path to just like, you know, because the elevator is going to be a round elevator, because I didn't think that like a square one would look good next to the sandcat shack. Because it's round, I wanted the stairs, because there's of course also going to be stairs, because otherwise the actual Planet Zoo guests won't get up there. And of course, there needs to be stairs, because in an emergency, these elevators would probably shut down or something, or it would be like quite dangerous to use these elevators, so there would be stairs. But I wanted these stairs to just sort of go up surrounding the elevator, yeah, like using the elevator as like the middle beam in a way. Yeah, that didn't work because it just looked awful. Because the parting was just like not, you know, it wasn't working with me. Also, for some reason, like right now, when it came to the elevator build, I decided, yeah, let's go for something close to realism. Bitch, I don't know how elevators work. So I was just like, yeah, I think this works. I think. Like, first of all, the doors of this elevator probably in real life wouldn't work, because they would need to like slide open. I didn't make the doors like that. Partially because the glass in Planet Zoo is not small enough to actually be able to do that nicely. Also because I just completely forgot. So, yeah. I do realize that I'm like the person now that is like, ooh, I have an excuse to make up for the fact that I completely forgot something. I am free! Yeah. Just a very coincidental excuse as well. But anyways, so I tried thinking of like, all right, what's the mechanism for making an elevator actually go up? Because you, as a normal person, you usually don't see that. Like the only times that I think I've seen it is like in, well, actually glass elevators where you could see that if it's like exposed. But usually you don't see it because it's in like an enclosed cabin shaft thing. So this was legit just guesswork. Well, by this point we're still like, making it pretty and such, because I like building pretty things. I also just completely realized that like I recently like did something with Goron, and I just realized like, yeah, I don't know what animals are. Why the fuck am I building in a zoo game? Because I like building. The animals are sort of like, yeah, that's nice. I really realized like I don't know shit about animals. I don't know what brought this on, but yeah. That's just reality for me. I don't really know much about animals. But yeah, eventually I made like the mechanisms for the elevator, and you might see them in like the cinematic shots, but don't immediately just go with like just trying to find like, oh, that wouldn't work in real life and such. Probably the entire thing wouldn't work in real life. Like I think like most of like the elevators and lifts that I have made so far probably would need some heavy changes to actually be completely realistic. And now we are finally moving on to the actual habitats. Yeah, this is going to be the smallest part of the build, because sandcats are also the smallest animal, I think, from the pack. Yeah. Also, someone pointed out to me that was just like, yeah, Poison got early access to the Arid Animal Pack. Didn't build for any of those animals. Yeah, that's just because I know how my brain works. Like, I have what I call a squirrel brain. If I distract myself in any sort of way from a build, I will very quickly lose interest in that build. So I was already halfway through with the elephant build, so I was like, I know that I'm not going to return to this build, or I'm going to completely change my mind if I stop building on this build right now. But anyways, back to the actual habitat. I'm calling this radiator fence because it looks like a radiator. I think that's the correct word for like the thing that heats up a room. But yeah, I don't know where I got this idea actually. Like, when it comes to fencing, I usually want to like find something interesting because like when it comes to habitats, for me, doing like the fencing and such, that's where you can like really go wild. If you are going for like a slightly more realistic habitat, you can still go wild with the fencing and like the viewing areas because those can go wild. But sometimes I'm just like, I've seen so many fences and I don't know where this is coming from and I don't know why it's still in my brain, but I want to build this now. Anyways, that's radiator fence for you. I don't know where it came from. I have no idea what the reference for it is. I just know that I wanted to build it for some reason. Anyways, the other part of the fence is the actual, maybe more realistic part. I don't know how high sand cats can jump. I do know cats though, and I know that cats will get in the weirdest places. And then they start screaming because they don't know how to get out of them. Or is that just me? And way too many videos of cats. Cats are dumbasses if you haven't noticed. Like, they will get into trouble and then act all high and mighty. And that's why I love them. Because they're basically giant dicks who don't know how to function in real life. Kind of like me, but I have a sense of self-preservation at least. Cats sometimes don't. Anyways, back to the actual fence. So this fence, of course, goes up a hill. There is like this railing that's... I don't know if it's going to be electrified. Probably not, because I can already sense just like the idea of like, oh yeah, fried cat. If they try to jump up here. But just like it's a deterrence from them to... or for the sand cats to not escape. But... I don't know if they will be able to jump over this. Probably. Maybe. I mean, there's not really a way for them to jump up here. But I don't know how high sand cats can jump because I tried looking it up and it didn't show me anywhere. Anyways, so yeah, it's curving up. I don't know how I managed to actually make that work. Like... seriously, sometimes I start building and I get in a zone and everything makes sense. Like, I'm that like gif of like the woman with all the numbers and the math and everything. And as soon as I get out of that zone, I have no idea what I've done. I have no idea how to explain it. It's just like, when I'm building, it makes sense. As soon as I stop building, it's just like, I made things, don't know how. Also, when it comes to rock work for this habitat, it was just like, yeah, the stalagmites and just like put them on random rotation, turn them upside down, and just spam the shit out of them. Usually I do that with plants or the grass, but yeah, here it was just like stalagmites. I want to say stalactites, but that's the one that, the other one, I think. I don't know. Like, are you really listening to this? Thinking like anything of this is going to be useful. Like, this is just me rambling. And I like it. Well, actually, sometimes there's something useful, such as radiator fence. Or like how I built this rock work. But then other times I start talking about Godzilla shitting. Yeah, I sometimes like really think like, hey, if somebody like tries to make sense of this, their brain would just melt. Kind of the same idea of just like trying to figure out how the Poisonblade's brain works. And it's just like, no, because that would cause so much radiation that would put Chernobyl to shame. I think I can say that by now. It's like 40, I don't know how many years it's ago actually. Like, that's not like the scary thing. Like, I regularly forget my own age. And then somebody said like, oh yeah, that starts happening with age. No, bitch, I'm not getting older. I don't want to accept that I'm getting older. I am getting older. Like, I legit have to do like the math of like, oh yeah, I was born in that year. It's now this year. So that means that I'm so many years old. Because I just, like I don't keep track of it. I'm like not sitting down every day of like, yeah, I'm that old. Nope. It's just like, nope, not part of my daily routine. So I very quickly forget this. Although it's usually like, it's not that I'm like thinking like, oh yeah, I'm 19 when I'm like 25. But it's more of like, yeah, I don't know if I'm 25 or 26. Oh yeah, my birthday hasn't happened yet. So yeah, I'm 25. It's like that. It's not that I'm like off by like a decade. Anyways, now we are to the bridge, which I think I'm going to actually expand further on through the Africa area. Or at least through whatever habitat I will put next to this. Which means that yes, I will have to figure out another way to make this work with an elevator. Because you don't just want one elevator. Probably. So trying to figure that out. But I really like just having like more paths. Having like that height variety. Because it can very easily make points of interest. First of all. Like, it makes it very easy to, of like, oh yeah, I want to like frame it. Just put a bridge above it. And it will basically just frame whatever is like beneath the bridge. It will frame it perfectly. It's also just an interesting way to get about. Just having an air bridge or air pod, or I don't know how you call it. But yeah, it's really just, it's something that I've kind of kept away from. But I'm in a weird mood, I think, lately, because I want to build more ridiculous stuff. I want to build air bridges and waterfalls. I haven't built really that many waterfalls in Naturalis because it's supposed to be like this Dutch shoe, so it's going to be very flat and such. But this area, like this is an area where I first thought like, oh, I'm going to replace or like relocate the meerkats to this. Yeah, that's not going to happen because it's too small. What can I do with this? Actually, I want just an open, empty area. But that would be too boring, so I put a waterfall in here. I imagine that like all of the small parks that I've built so far dotted around Naturalis are like all made or like planned by different people. Like they bringing like artists or something, or well, something's other people in to like design a specific area. And then they put like a tiny little name plaque in there from like, yeah, this area is designed by Blublia. I hope that's not an actual name, because otherwise I just insulted someone by implying that that's a fake name. But yeah, I guess that Naturalis would do that. I also kind of think it's a nice area. Again, spamming the stalagmites, because ever since I figured out how these work, I just love them for rocks. I think that's just like a big shout out just to like Caesar Creates for like showing me how it works. Also, yes, looking at the other Plant Zoo YouTubers actually makes you realize how different things work. I usually kept in my little hobbit hole and was just like afraid of people. Now I'm just like, yeah. They all still sound like squirrels though. Because again, I watched everything at like 2x speed. But yeah. Again, shout out to Caesar Creates for showing me how this works. Also, shout out to Goron, because I'm pretty sure I derailed his last planet, or I want to say Planet Zoo Tour, but his latest Zoo Tour. Because again, I don't know anything about animals, and he was very kind to invite me for a Zoo Tour. But it started off great when I thought that an Amur leopard was a jaguar. I don't think Amur leopard is actually the right word or name. Yeah, that's a great way to end this video. Just like me showing my ineptitude for any kind of animals. But what I am good at is building and rambling. But that's the end of this ramble, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash that like button, like I will smash some nuggets after this. Actually, I almost never eat nuggets, but I just really like them because they're trash. Just like me. Anyways, there's also the subscribe button if you are a crazy rambler like me. Maybe, hit that. Anyways, have a wonderful day, guys. Bye-bye.